councils to have this power to issue infringement notices.
I call Sarah Dowie.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. I rise to take a second call on this Conservation Infringement System Bill, and I'm pleased that the Minister got to take a call to give us some answers on this bill. I'm not sure what the whips are doing over at that side of the House, but Ms Deborah Russell should have given the Minister the call and yield to her in the first instance. Well, yes, but I mean, there's a little bit, you've got to show a little bit of respect for a minister, in my opinion.
Order. Yeah, order. Let's carry on with the bill.
Thanks, Ms. Dyson, thank
order
you.
to the House. Let's carry on. Thank you.
Look, thank you to the Minister for making that call and giving us some answers with regards to her views as to how the infringement system will work. It still doesn't allay our concerns with regards to making sure that this infringement system is consistent and is fair across the board. As Mr Scott Simpson alluded to, fish and game rangers are not state sector employees. They're not subject to the same codes of conduct as dock rangers, and notwithstanding that Fish and Game does some very good work, and again, as my colleague Mr Scott Simpson said, it's not about Fish and Game per se. It's about a non-governmental organisation having the powers to issue infringement notices. And I was interested to note that Minister said that these infringement notices won't be issued in the field. Details will be taken and that information will be brought back to the office, and then decisions will be made. But regardless, decisions will be made with Fish and Game at their end and the department at their end. And that doesn't necessarily convert to consistency between the two. And so I would put it to the Minister that with respect to her development of the policy, that it will need to be tested moving forward, that objective parameters will need to be put around the administration of this infringement system and measured as time goes forward should this bill complete its progression throughout the House. And so that is our concern, that there will be people out recreating, spending their time on the conservation estate, going about their business, perhaps in the North Island, and the same in the South Island, and that there may not be consistency in regulating with respect to offences within New Zealand. So we want to make sure that any infringement system that is given to the Department of Conservation is fair and reasonable, that we do support the Department of Conservation with respect to enforcement, but it must be completed and administered in a very measured way. And that is our concern with regards to extending that power to Fish and Game, and hence my SOP to take that away in this instance, to delete references to extending that power, to make sure that this infringement system is first of all given to the Department of Conservation, that it is put in place, that the administration of it is completed with due diligence, and that it is administered fairly and objectively. Look, as I mentioned before in my first call, this bill cuts across a number of different legislation that relates to Department of Conservation functions. Quite frankly, the logistics of the work that the Department of Conservation rangers undertake does lend itself to an infringement system. That's why we introduced it in the first instance under the previous government. That's why it was introduced by the Honourable Maggie Barry. But again, bringing it back to our concerns, this system must be fair, it must be reasonable, it must be measured and consistent throughout all of New Zealand.
I call Erica Stanford.
Yeah, I'm pleased to take a short call.